Hi, I'm Melissa.
Hi, I'm Ash, and this is the Indie Crush Project interview with an indie filmmaker.
And we are really excited. This is our very first interview that we are doing with the fabulous Andrew Putschoegl.
Hello.
Hi. We're so happy to have him, and we're going to ask him a couple questions. Here we go. Andy, could you tell us a little bit about your body of work?
Body of work. Okay, so I started off, I grew up in Minnesota, and started when I was a teenager interning on some studio features. So that's sort of the background as I started working on like the third Mighty Ducks movie, and I interned on Kevin Smith's Mallrats, and had these great opportunities. So that I sort of took that sort of studio, sort of indie model of filmmaking and applied it to my own projects when I had the opportunity to get out there and do it. So my body of work probably started with my senior thesis film in college that played a bunch of festivals and was the last one in my college to actually be cut on film, which was kind of cool. And then I did my first feature in 2004. I think 2004. It was just a work for hire that I did up in Canada. It was a great experience, sort of like an extension of film school called Window Theory. And then in 2005, I had an opportunity to work with the great Stephen Tobolowsky, who is everywhere, has been in every movie ever made, and did a documentary that I co-produced and edited called Stephen Tobolowsky's Birthday Party. It was all about Stephen, his life, his stories, and then have done a lot of work with the friends in the Groundlings and stuff for the web and short films. I did a short a couple years ago called Hello Caller that won the Theatrical Offer Award from Slamdance and played at South by Southwest and won audience awards. I'm rather proud of the fact that it won the audience award in Provincetown in Massachusetts and Maui in Hawaii the same weekend. I thought it's about as far apart in the same
Yeah,
place.
right?
That's right.
Yeah.
It's coast to coast.
Yeah, that's right. And then I just recently directed another feature called Heads We Do that has a tremendous cast, including Sean Marr and Larissa Oleynik and Pat Carroll, who was in The Little Mermaid.
Oleynik.
Yeah, Alex Mack. Yeah. Awesome. And so that's we're literally weeks away from finishing that and and getting that out there. So that's my body in a nutshell.
See why we have Andy on our show?
Yeah, amazing. So cool. If you were to say, you know, a particular person or thing, anything that you feel like are your indie influences, who or what would you tell us about?
I think my indie influences are maybe a little bit more fluid than my mainstream influences, or a little more fluid than my mainstream influences, in that they're constantly evolving, and it seems like every year there are more and more, and I'm fortunate that I can call some of them peers as opposed to just looking at them from the outside, which is great. I mean, I look at people like Ben Zeitlin, who did Beasts of the Southern Wild,
Mm-hmm.
and how successful that was for him, and really kind of crossed over and was something that went mainstream, which was great. And I'm so impressed with Lena Dunham taking Tiny Furniture and turning that success into the success with Girls.
Mm-hmm.
And even recently meeting Kyle Patrick Alvarez, who is another filmmaker who just did COG that was at Sundance, and I'm really looking forward to seeing. So, I think it's just a broad spectrum of who I find influential and inspirational.
Cool.
Yeah.
Would you say the same? So when you were starting out to be a filmmaker, like, was there a particular someone who kind of flipped that switch for you?
Well, again, growing up in the 80s and 90s in Minnesota, independent cinema wasn't really something I was exposed to until probably my late teen years.
Mm-hmm.
So the early stuff for me was, which I think a lot of younger filmmakers, looking at Spielberg or looking at Hitchcock and sort of the classics and Billy Wilder and those kind of people, I think, were some of my earlier influences.
Cool.
Is that kind of built into your film program as well? Viewing all of those different...
Oh, I think inevitably it is. If there's somebody that inspires you, you're going to draw from their work and from their past.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Cool. And what's one piece of indie advice you could give to filmmakers everywhere? Having experienced it yourself, having gone through the motions, what's one piece of advice that you wish you would have known?
Well, thinking about that, I think there are probably two prongs to that piece of advice. Okay. And the first one is that it's important to always remember that what we do is something we love. We are very fortunate to do what we do. And we're not sitting there with a patient on an operating table in a life or death situation. So when things go wrong, which they inevitably will, try to remain calm, try to maintain respect for everybody around you. I hear so many horror stories of people who just scream and yell and are disrespectful to the people they work with, and then they don't come back or they don't have another opportunity. So I try to learn everybody's first name at least within the first 2 days of a shoot and address them by that. I think just mutual respect. Then people are more willing to do stuff and work hard. The other thing is food and craft service. People don't think about it on indie sets, and it is so important. And don't just get a bag of chips and a couple of bottles of water. I've heard so many horror stories of people being out in the desert filming, and they run out of water. No. It's like, go home with, if you go home at the end of the day and you have 2 extra cases of water, that's good.
Yeah.
Don't run out in the middle of your shoot. Just treat people well, feed them well, and it makes up for the fact that you can't.
Sounds like good life advice.
Yeah,
it is good life advice.
Yeah.
Seriously, respect and nourishment, right?
That's right.
And it's
goes a long way.
Goes a long way.
Goes a long way.
Yeah.
Cool.
So Andy, where can we find your work?
Where can you find my work? You can find Stephen Tobolowsky's birthday party at stbpmovie.com. It's also on iTunes, and you can rent the DVD through Netflix. And then you can go to ninjagoldfish.com. That's my website where you can see some of my recent shorts and comedy projects. And then hopefully Heads We Do will be out on the festival circuit later this year, early next year when it's done.
We can't wait.
It's the goal.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you guys.
Yeah.
It's great.
And thank you guys. We'll
Thanks,
see you
guys.
soon. Bye.